Hello friends, in the present video, we will start a new chapter called Stress Distribution in Soils. Stress distribution in soils. And coming to this chapter about the GATE exam point of view, from this chapter, there is also a probability that we may get the 2 marks question, 2 marks question, or we may also have 1 mark question. Okay, and coming to the details into this chapter about the exam point of view. So in this chapter we will study about the different methods that are used for finding the stresses generated in the soils. Okay, as we are going to study about different methods from the exam point of view, they will not ask us about any derivation. Okay, only the difference is we have to by heart the formulae in this chapter. We have around 10 to 15 formulas. If we can by heart them, then we can easily gain 2 marks or 1 mark, whatever they will give in the exam. So in this chapter, the important thing is that you have to by heart the formula, and also you have to remember the parameters in the equations. And also, depending upon the method, you have to remember again the assumptions, or it is applicable for which type of soil. Like this, some 2-3 points we have to by heart in addition to the formula. Then, if you can remember those three, then you can easily gain these 2 marks. So only the thing is that we have to, in this chapter, coming to exam point of view, only the formula oriented chapter. No concept is involved, nothing. Only the thing is that we have to by heart the formula. Okay. So in this method, we are going to study about the different methods like Boussinesq theory, Westergaard's theory, Newmark's theory, and also we'll study the different methods, and also we'll see also about the approximate methods also. So why stresses are developed in the soils? That is like a general question. For that also we already know the answer. What? Because whatever the structures, every structure that should obviously lay down the soil, isn't it? So whatever the loads, that means the sulfate of the structure, or else because of the external loading, or also because of the sulfate of the soil also, wherever you want to find the magnitude of the stress, because of these things the stresses will generate in the soils. So we can say because of which type of loading, because of sulfate of structures, and also external load on the structure, and also depending upon the point where you are finding the stress, there may be sulfate of the soil also. So in general, because of these three, stresses will develop in the soils. So we have to ensure that whatever the stresses that are generating in the soil, those should be within the limits to avoid the failure of the soil. If failure of the soil is happen, obviously the structure built upon the soil will also fail. So we have to make sure that whatever the stresses generated in the soils, those should be within the capacity of the soil. What is the capacity of the soil? Nothing but a shear strength, isn't it? So depending upon the load acting on the soil, whatever the stresses that are generated, those should be within the limit to avoid the failures. And also, in addition to the failure, the settlement happens in the soil, that should also be within the limits. Okay. Now these are the about the introduction on stress distribution in soils. Now let us start with the method Boussinesq theory. Boussinesq theory. You can pronounce it anyway, it doesn't matter, right? So, whatever may be the theory, as I told you, 3 points you have to remember them. First one is the theory is applicable for which type of soil, what are the assumptions that are considered while derivation, and also the final result. What is the final result? Nothing but a what is the stress. So here, if you talk about the soils, it can be applied for any type of soil. There are no limitations. It can be applied for any type of soil. Only all these points you have to by heart it. All these points are made from the Boussinesq depend upon the observations he made. And coming to the assumptions, he assumed that whatever the soil it is, homogeneous, isotropic, homogeneous, isotropic, elastic, and also semi-infinite. Homogeneous means along one direction all the properties are same. Isotropic means at particular point along all directions properties are same. That means homogeneous isotropic means whatever the point and whatever the direction you consider, your properties of the soil are same. And what is meant by elastic? If you remove the load on the soil, the soil will come to its original shape. That means whatever the settlement happens because of the load, if you remove the load, the settlement will be equal to zero. And what about the semi-infinite? As in general, this distribution will be in a three-dimensional way along x, y, and z. But Boussinesq is considered that along one dimension, the load is continuously acting. So that's why instead of your 3D problem, if you consider it as a semi-infinite, we are analyzing this in terms of the 2D. Okay? This is the first assumption. And the main assumption is that sulfate of the soil is neglected. This is also very, very important point. Sulfate of the soil neglected. If you're talking about at the top surface of the soil, as there is no soil above it, we can say the stress is equal to zero. But if you go on deep below the ground surface, because of the soil above the point, there may be some stress that may act on the point also. But the Boussinesq has neglected the stress because of the self weight. Okay, so let me consider, let us say there is an footing. First of all, let us assume that this is my x direction, this is my y direction, and this is my z direction. Okay. Suppose let us say we are having the rectangular footing. Let me draw the shape of the rectangle first. Okay, and let us assume that a load is acting at the CG of the rectangle. Let us say the magnitude of the load is Q. Okay, and let us say you are finding stress at somewhere point here. The point is at a distance of Z below the ground surface. Okay, and in the plane, that means in top view, let us say R is nothing but a, in top view, let us say R is nothing but a radial distance from load acting point to the stress point. That means where you are finding the stress. Remember, this is if you have to look into the top view. Okay, if you look in different angles, you will have different R values. So if you see from the top, R is nothing but a distance from load acting point to the stress value. Let us say on the plane, if the at this point, if you are finding the stress, let us assume R is nothing but a radial distance like this. Okay. Now, according to the Bose-Iknes, the vertical stress, let us say sigma z, be the stress acting on the soil because of the externally applied load. Then, according to him, the vertical stress that will be equal to Q divided by Z square into 3 divided by 2 pi into 1 divided by 1 plus R divided by Z whole square whole to the power 5 by 2. We have already discussed what is meant by R. R is nothing but a radial distance from CZ point or load acting point to the point where you are finding the stress. And what about the Z? Z is nothing but a distance below the ground surface where you are finding the stress. And Q is nothing but a external load acting on the soil. So if we see here at a particular point, R and Z are constant. So your stress is varying with respect to the Q and also varying with respect to the Z square. If you talk about the unit, this term is don't have any unit. It is like a constant. So that's why what I'll do, stress at any point that I can written as Q divided by Z square into some constant Kb. What is the unit of stress? Newton per mm square. Suppose if I take Q in kilonewton, depth where you are finding the stress is if I take it in meter square, meter. So Z square is nothing but a meter square. So the unit for the stress, either normal in general, we'll measure it in kilonewton per meter square, or else we can measure it in megapascal. So that's depending upon the examiner in which unit he was interested in. Okay, now by this formula we can find out the stress, vertical stress acting at any point. Similarly, if you want any shear stress acting at that point, let us say along that point, what is the shear stress means? I'll say tau, as radial distance also matters, tau or z, that will be equal to the normal stress into R divided by Z. So from this, we will find out the normal stress acting on the point. From this, we will find out the shear stress acting at that point. Now, if you understand this one, if you understand this formula at a particular point, your Kb is constant. That means how your stress is varying. Your stress is varying inversely proportional to the distance. That means what I'll say, your stress is inversely proportional to the Z square. If we consider 2 points, let us say this is a ground surface, and if I am applying the load here, and let us say I want to find out what is the ratio of the stresses at these two different points. Let us say this is point 1, this is point 2. Point 1 at a distance of Z1, point 2 at a distance of Z2. I am considering the plane directly below the loading. That means what about the radius? R1 is also equal to 0, R2 is also equal to 0. Otherwise, if you are considering 2 points, if they are on the same line, same vertical plane, if they are in the same vertical plane, your radial distance will be equal to 0. And if your load is acting on constant, so how the stress corresponding to these 2 points will vary? They will vary inversely proportional to the Z square. So if you want the relationship between them, then you can say sigma 1 divided by sigma 2, that will be equal to inversely proportional to, so Z2 square divided by Z1 square. So by using this relation, we can find out the variation of stresses on a vertical plane if you are considering two different points. Understood? Suppose if you are directly finding below the load, if you are directly finding the below load, what is the radius? That will be equal to 0. From this, how your stress will equation vary? Q divided by Z square into 3 divided by 2 pi into what is the inside time? 1 by 1 plus R by Z. What is R? 0. That means the whole term is going to be the 1. So if you are finding directly below the loading, That means your R will be equal to 0. That implies sigma Z will be your constant. And if you find out what is the 3 divided by 2 pi value, then you will get sigma Z that will be equal to 0.48 into Q divided by Z square. So you can also remember this one, but only the thing is that this equation is directly below the loading. Directly below the load. So every time you will not find the stress directly below the loading, you will find out at some other points also. So if you want to remember an equation in general, then you have to remember it like Q divided by Z square into 3 divided by 2 pi into 1 by 1 plus R by Z whole square whole to the power 5 by 2. Okay, if you want to load directly below the loading, then it will be 0.48 into Q divided by Z square. Okay, this is what about the Boussinesq theory. In the next video, we will see how the stress will vary along vertical and horizontal planes. Thank you.